is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250. Say micro and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We mentioned the inflation decline in June, down 0.4% from May. Kevin Hassett, the White House Economic Council director, tells Fox it's not just cheaper oil and gas last month.
We see food prices doing a great job. Tomato prices down 10%. Across the board, drug prices, the biggest decline in drug prices ever, all the way back to World War II because of President Trump's policies to make America the most favored nation.
Now, oil prices are rising back up after the U.S. and Iran fighting flared back up. Oil up another 2+% today. WTI back at $80 a barrel. Last week it was 68. Gas also costs more this week. It is a AAA national average for regular at $3.85 a gallon, 6 cents higher than last Tuesday. And on Wall Street, there are gains so far this morning. We are seeing the Dow up 111 points, the Nasdaq up 117, the S&P 500 adding 17 points. But one big name stock is dropping big time. IBM plunging more than 20% after an earnings report that suggests companies are spending less on software for artificial intelligence and more on AI infrastructure and data centers. And speaking of those, a Democratic governor takes action.
New York becomes the first state to halt the construction of large data centers for up to a year, placing it at the forefront of a growing national debate and pushback against the artificial intelligence surge. Governor Kathy Hochul's office saying the executive order will give the state time to create regulations for data centers that help the environment and energy grid. Tech companies are racing to build new centers amid growing concerns. The facilities driving AI boom are raising power costs, straining water supplies, and burdening local communities.
That's Fox's Lillian Wu. In Philadelphia tonight, baseball's All-Stars will shine the All-Star game. Last night, Jordan Walker won the Home Run Derby. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Partly sunny, breezy and hot today. Highs mid-90s to 100 with southeast winds 12 to 25 miles an hour. Still breezy this evening, becoming cloudy, remaining warm and humid. Lows in the lower 80s. Breezy, still hot on Wednesday, variably cloudy. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. Then on Thursday, it'll be mostly cloudy by afternoon with a thunderstorm around. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Get ready for a wild adventure with 710 KURV and IPH Home Healthcare. Join us Saturday, August 1st from 9 a.m. till noon at the Back to School Bash 2026 at La Plaza Mall. The first 400 kids score a free backpack. Plus, enjoy games, music, face painting, fun characters, and register to win a South Padre Island getaway, a family beach water park package, tablets, gift cards, and more. Don't miss the Back to School Bash 2026. Presented by Idea Public Schools.
They say the world we live in has never been more digitally focused. And these days, it seems as if we spend most of our lives looking down, lost in our own worlds. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas knows some of these advancements in technology serve another purpose: to connect us all with 24/7, 360-degree access to the latest products and technologies to better serve your universe within. And as the most trusted customer-owned health insurer for nearly a century, we've remained community-focused, not publicly traded, grounded in our trusted local presence. So we don't only work for you, we work right here with you. At Blue Cross, we also believe in a larger world of wellness, and we'll make sure it's forever revolving around yours.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company. Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. From the Radio United Broadcast Center, this is the Sergio Show. Talking about the news headlines and topics that affect you. And now, the Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
And a happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining us on the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. We have the great honor of joining you from the nation's capital. I am, of course, Sergio Sanchez, and along with show producer, best producer in all of talk radio in Texas, producer Fred Cruz, he's steering the ship. He's back at the mothership in Mission, Texas. Why am I in D.C.? Well, we're here doing some door knocking in Congress on behalf of a building right next door. It's the National Association of Broadcasters. They got some important issues they need to speak with folks in Congress, and we're joining them for those conversations. Meantime, since I knew I was going to be in D.C., I conducted several interviews with folks in local business, several industries, economic development, folks in leadership as well. It's several city halls. Thank you to our many supporters from all these different industries, from suppliers to folks in construction. I want to say thank you first to the folks who every single day make it possible for me and Freddie and join you on the radio. Thank you for making us your choice, 710 KURV. Now, I wish to extend a thanks to all the gang at Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, South Texas Buick GMC, and Lone Star National Bank. And you'll get to hear some of the conversations I shared. Now, more than likely, Wednesday morning, I'll be able to, again, reprise, in case you missed it, some of those conversations, 9 to 11. And if you missed any of this, I do recommend there's some gold nuggets of information in pretty much every single conversation, from what to do with new currency to some of the construction trends to this market, Brownsville being a participant in U.S. national security efforts. If we get that the shipyard in South Texas, it's amazing news. A lot of gold nugget, as I call it, information. Check out those videos, those conversations. 710 KURV YouTube channel, 710 KURV X, because we do a lot of this live and we post it. Thank you to producer Joe Salinas. 710 KURV Facebook as well. Go check out those conversations. And before we go to the series of conversations this hour, an acknowledgement. Thank you to all the gang, many of them who helped us put this show on air. Thank you to former South Padre Island Mayor Barry Patel. Defend the Dream PAC. You'll be hearing plenty of them here in the near future. Thank you again to a good friend of all of us in South Texas. He and friends, their vision have advanced medicine and medical care. Thank you to Alonso Cantu. Thank you to Cantu Construction, Alonso Cantu. Thank you to Jeremy Smith at Mott's Building Materials, and Jorge Torres, who you're going to hear a little later on in the second hour of the program. Jorge Torres at Interlink Trade Services. He is an expert in import and export, and right now is USMCA is getting a review. Yeah, we'll review that as well. This is the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV, live from the nation's capital. Manager for our city of Weslaco, Omar Rodriguez. We'll also have a chance to hear from our city commissioner. One of our city commissioners for Weslaco is Josh Pedraza. And we want to say thank you also to our chief, fire chief. He's also the leader of the emergency management office and a city manager, assistant city manager for Weslaco, which means he gets 3 checks, by the way. 3 checks is, no, it doesn't work that way. Antonio Lopez, Tony Lopez is joining us right now. Sales is relationship based, but you know what? As you said, it's also politics. You need to be seen. You need to be in front of the representatives. Tell me a bit more about that comment, which I found quite interesting.
Oftentimes, it's something that is criticized is these trips as our leadership goes and lobbies for the needs of our communities. But it's no different than our own local citizens coming to City Hall and wanting to meet with the mayor or meeting with a commissioner or calling our elected officials directly, we have to have that same relationship with our leaders in Austin and our leaders in D.C. And the only way to do that is to be present, be in the office, be in front of many of the program directors for the different funds that are available. There's billions available, millions available. But if you don't ask, you're not going to be considered. If you're not in front of them, they're not going to know, hey, you know what, this came up. Let me call Weslaco and ask them if they can, submit an application right away. There's many avenues out there for small communities, for any community. And that's the only way to handle that is to be present. So that's part of the effort of what our leadership has done. Our mayor, our commissioners are in front of their counterparts in Washington, their counterparts in Austin, at the county level, at every level. You have to be present and keep that conversation going. We have needs that are way beyond our ability to fund. Our resources are limited locally, so that's where we need that additional state support. Well, the state is also limited, and they need that federal support. So it's a chain reaction. You got to be in front of all that community and keep that conversation. And Sergio, we applaud you that you're taking us and you're broadcasting from our nation's capital and basically telling what our story is and what our needs are here in the fastest growing part of the country.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
Luckily, Wesco's in the middle of it. We're right in the center of all the action.
Yeah, and for folks driving around town, listening to KURV or picking up these little videos on YouTube and X and LinkedIn later for several days, they'll keep rolling on social media for folks to understand the work at City Hall. I think, as you were saying, Omar Rodriguez, our city manager for Weslaco, joining us right now, as well as a couple of leaders from Weslaco as we broadcast from D.C. and all the issues that tentacle from D.C. to the Valley, Weslaco, back to D.C. So many issues that are beyond our means to pay at the local level that we sure could use federal assistance. Which one would you say, Omar, is the biggest check that comes in or could come in from Washington, like of what I mentioned, or maybe something I did not mention? Which is the biggest check that comes in from D.C. to help City Hall with infrastructure and all the needs that we have, specifically for Weslaco?
Our biggest need today is for FEMA to approve our projects that have already been looked at by the state, and for them to approve it so we can move forward on these projects. We have had flooding issues, and this is a valley-wide issue, but Wesco has got 4 separate projects that are up for consideration from anywhere. The oldest one is over 300 days that it's been sitting on FEMA's desk. So that's something, and every storm we get, just the recent one, same thing. Commissioner Josh will tell you, he has lived through this for his entire duration, but we have to maximize our dollars. There's a fiduciary responsibility to keep the daily things going, police and fire and picking up the trash and maintaining the streets. Some of those dailies still have to happen. So to fund big projects like this, we need the support from the state. We need the support from the federal government to move forward.
Do you think in like a minute or less, real quick, elevator speech explanation on the 4 projects that are pending from FEMA? We need them to go ahead and help us out with the drainage, get the water out of the way.
It's the heart of Wesco. Basically, when you're looking from mile 10 south to Business 83, all of that drainage is supported by these projects, and that's our our older part of the community that has drainage structures that haven't been improved in over 50 years. And then you've got other many residents that have come on board since then. So those are the areas as you get the growth, and these are also projects that have been impacted by the growth of the expressway. So the expressway has impacted some of this. So with as you move forward in development, you got to keep up with some of that infrastructure. So that's where this is pending. And again, these are funds that the state has been able to find and allocate and sponsor our project. But now it's up for FEMA review.
10-4. That's Omar Rodriguez. He's our city manager for Weslaco. KURV and DC conversations continuing. I want to say thank you to our other participants in this conversation from Weslaco. One of our city commissioners is Josh Pedraza. Josh, as you told me off air before the conversation, well, yeah, it's a city commission post for a specific part of town, but it's all Weslaco. It's all. But where are you specifically, brother? Are you in a growing part on the outer rim, or are you more central city where some of these old structural issues and old pipes and things like that, and the rain makes you nervous every time it comes down real heavy? Because we know Weslaco has a very unique problem when it comes to flooding.
Yes, sir. And you're right. Anytime we do get rain, it's the anxiety amps up and you get a little nervous. Been through it, as Mr. Rodriguez mentioned. 2018, we had that major rain event. Then 2019 had another one. 2020, 3 years back to back, and it was just painful to see. The district that I represent is closer to Mercedes. The Mercedes area, but there was a neighborhood out there, Las Brisas, that was inundated many a time. 2018, we had practically the whole neighborhood underwater. They were underwater for 7 days, and that was just heart-wrenching. Yes, and then in 2019, they were underwater for 5 days, and 2020 for 3. And I'm happy to say that this past rain event, as we drove the streets, they were clear of water, so the improvements that were made helped. And, we're heading in the right direction, but yet, as Mr. Rodriguez mentioned, there's still a lot of work to do. And as Mayor always says, one house underwater is one too many. So we'll continue to lobby for these funds. We'll continue to work with our colleagues up in Austin and at the federal level up in Washington to hopefully, get these funds for our community, so we can, move them out of those floodplains and just, improve their quality of life.
Other issues that potentially could be funded by DC Commissioner Josh Pedraza, one of our city commissioners for Weslaco, parks or anything else that you find yourself, or maybe some of your folks in your part of town, filling out applications for that are DC based.
Well, in addition to soliciting drainage funds, we also met with Senator Cornyn's office up in D.C. and with the federal DOT. And again, as we grow, our citizens need those avenues to move around town with as much ease as possible. And allow also all that incoming traffic that we're getting from all directions, whether it be that traffic coming from Mexico or coming from the west, east, from wherever. But we want to make that a lot more easy to go about. And so when we were up there, we solicited for a master plan, a transportation plan for Weslaco, and also there is something that, and can I speak of the Weslaco Loop?
Yeah.
There's something, and again, it's thinking way ahead. We've discussed having a Weslaco Loop around here, kind of like the big cities have, your 410s, your 610s, those type of things, but something, that where traffic can make their way around Weslaco with ease and access any point that they need without encountering much traffic. So those are all things that we were we're soliciting for up there.
I want to bring in, before I run out of time, our fire chief and our leader for emergency management, Antonio Lopez, our chief. Welcome back, chief. Okay, so from your perspective as EOC director or from first responder, your trips to D.C. or lobbying at D.C., how can Washington, D.C. help you or is helping you when it comes to funding?
So D.C. is thank you for having us today. Again, Chief Antonio Lopez, Emergency Manager, Fire Chief, your city of Weslaco. One of the main things that, for us as responders is, again, when we go to D.C., go to Austin, is always to talk about regionalization and how the impact to one city is going to impact another. Even how what happens outside in the county impacts a city and vice versa. So that is very important for us to go to the federal and showcase, because we're not only as first responders dealing with what's happening within our cities, we're dealing with a national transportation issues that these interstates are passing through these small towns. We're seeing hazardous materials starting to increase nationwide, but we're definitely starting to see that here in the Rio Grande Valley as industrial starts to pick up. So our side is to requesting for training, is requesting for specialized equipment to be able to respond to this. And we've been doing that year to year. That's part of our strategic planning that we do as first responders. As a fire chief, strategic planning is done every year. We're seeing a growth of potential aviation with our general aviation airport here in the city, which is a jewel for us to have. And we've been planning and training for this for years, getting ready to make that jump into protecting the airport 24/7. So again, these are the conversations that we're having in DC, so making sure that our congressmen and senators up there know exactly what Wesco is all about, know exactly where we are planning to take this region. Again, not just as a city, but take the region to the next level in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes, sir.
So those are major things. And then also on emergency management, how Mr. Omar and the commissioner were talking about, we're always looking at FEMA for preparedness. We talk to FEMA every time. Unfortunately, we've had some disasters here in the city where we've had to, work with FEMA side by side, and they've done a real good job with us on that, on preparedness and also the recovery. Anytime we have a drainage issue, that we have flooding, it's not just a 1-2 days that it dries out. We are actually having to work sometimes months and sometimes even years developing these regional detention facilities to mitigate the flooding. Yeah. But also the economy is also part of emergency management. During COVID and any type of disaster that comes in, our job is to make sure that we get the city back to the new normal, back to normal operations, and that's keeping the economy going. The Rio Grande Valley is very different than anywhere, I think, in the United States, and we always try to talk about that when we go to DC, is to make sure that they understand if you're a congressman or senator from our region, or talking to somebody that's outside our region, that can partner with us, because a lot of growth is passing through the border here. And we are one of very few regions that not only takes care of issues that happen on our side, but prevailing winds are coming from the Mexico side to us. So we need to be monitoring what's happening in Mexico and be able to respond to our border in case if something ever happens. So when you think about that, it looks very complicated, right? But that's the daily for people living in the Rio Grande Valley. So those are the type of things that we have discussions when we go to DC on the responder side.
We appreciate you, all of y'all. Thank you, Wesco. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Antonio, for helping us communicate this from DC. We'll look forward to our next conversation with you, gentlemen. Thank you.
South Texas heat isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. When temperatures climb to 100 degrees or higher, we'll bring you the News Talk 710 KURV Heat Alert. It's your signal to take action. Drink plenty of water, stay indoors when you can, and check on your loved ones. Extreme heat can impact anyone, especially kids, seniors, and pets. And be sure to check the back seat of your vehicle. The News Talk 710 KURV Heat Alerts, powered by Lee's Pharmacy. Beat the heat. Stay informed with News Talk 710 KURV.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Monica De La Cruz. Are you having difficulty getting answers from federal agencies? My office is here to help. Call us at 956-800-6069 to share your issue, and we will be in touch. Team De La Cruz is here to serve you. God bless. Paid for with official funds from the office of Congresswoman De La Cruz.
And the match is about to begin.
Most of the team is out with COVID-19, so there'll be some substitutes tonight.
What's this? We have an unexpected guest on the field.
It's a dog. Well, they could do with extra players.
She's going for the ball.
Are front paws hands or feet?
Soccer season is full of surprises, and COVID-19 could be one of them. If you test positive, prescription medications may help. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Learn more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
When the work is demanding, you need equipment you can count on and a partner who stands behind it. That's why contractors across Texas and Oklahoma turn to ASCO and Case Construction. From compact track loaders and excavators to a full lineup of light and heavy equipment, ASCO delivers the machines, parts, service, and support to help keep your operation moving. Visit your local ASCO today or go to ASCOEQ.com to explore the full Case Construction lineup. ASCO and Case Construction, built to work, built to last.
In Texas, we pride ourselves on standing tall. But sometimes, even the toughest folks need a hand. If you or someone you know is having a mental health crisis, call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Or to chat, visit texas988.org. Trained counselors are available 24/7 to provide confidential support at no cost to you. With 988, you're not alone in the Lone Star State.
Thank you, Harlingen, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio.
KURV in D.C. conversations continue. Saying again, thank you to the many supporters, pretty much all of the local interviews that we've been doing on this. Thank you for allowing us to be in D.C. and focus on some of the advocacy, some of the issues that are key to our area. Among them, of course, the trade between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, USMCA, under review. And to look at this is my friend David Martinez Longoria, economist for CAPA. That's concrete, asphalt, pipe, and aggregate, CAPA. Well, thanks for joining us again, David. And again, thank you and the family at CAPA for their support in this important broadcast. I asked David to roll the clock back a bit, and just from the Eagle's perch, let's look at NAFTA, now called USMCA. So let's go back to NAFTA, early 90s, and just some of the, commonly known or maybe not often talked about economic benefits that we saw in this trade corridor and in our country as a result of the trade agreement.
Thank you, Sergio,
Yes,
for having us here again. Mm-hmm. It's always interesting to talk about international trade. And I was just going back a little bit about NAFTA, El Tratado de Libre Comercio, as we used to call it. I was at the university back in 1994, if you can believe that. Uh-huh. And it was free trade. Everything was about free trade. And I think we got so accustomed to that term mm-hmm. that now that USMCA has come in place, and we're talking, yes, about free trade, but we're also talking about managed free trade. Mm-hmm. We're talking about some regulations, some things that need to be enforced, some things that need to be considered among nations. And that's the main difference between NAFTA and USMCA. NAFTA, I remember, again, back in the day, one of my mentors, Jorge Vasquez Costilla, his name, he was negotiating beer tariffs among Mexico and states. And the question was there, so are we going to be allowed to sell either beer across, the nations, or even soft drinks, or even autos? Back in 1994, there were only like 5 auto manufacturers in Mexico. Right now, there are over 100, if you can believe it.
Wow.
So it was a well-needed change between 1994 to July 1st of 2020, when USMCA was born and was established as a 6-year term, which just ended this past July the 1st, right? So we did our first round, our first, rally of the USMCA with great results, if I might say. It was needed. It was a change that was needed to consider, of course, migration, to consider, of course, logistics implications, the new economy, digital economy. All of that was included in USMCA agreement, which was not necessarily considered back in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. So the question now, I think, is it was originally planned to be reviewed or renewed for another 6 years. And the news, all around is that instead of being renewed for another 6 years, is going to be renewed for year after year. And that's why people become a little bit more hesitant. And the word uncertainty is put in place, it talks about that. But I personally, as an economist, and I think most of industry leaders do not necessarily are afraid of the fact that the agreement is going to be revised or renewed on a yearly basis.
And more than likely to the advantage of the U.S., I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because of the political culture
It's,
that we have.
it's a call made by Washington, by all means.
This is the first time. Let me bring up something with you. I'm sorry to hit you cold on this, but I know that you, as I do, we have a love and appreciation for this nation, but also for our roots in Mexico. And I recall you and I are probably about the same age. You were in college around that time, and so was I way back then. And I remember some of the promises or things that were talked about when it came to NAFTA, is that finally a third world country like Mexico, which should not be considered third world anymore, by the way, because they have 16% of the population living in air conditioners. Well, France only has about 7%. So France should be third world. Mexico should be a first world now, but I digress. Where I'm going with this is I look forward to the day, and I'm wondering how you see the evolution, modernization of Mexico. They still have a lot of internal struggles as far as their government. They have not properly figured that out. They have a government that properly not only endorses, but frees the reign of their natural resources for them to go private and to become efficient. From people, they put more people on welfare recently. There was an article on that. We were talking about that in the Rioplex ambassador conversation page. But they got more people on welfare. They have Pemex that has yet to this day become properly efficient with internationally produced investment and technology. Okay, where am I going with this? I'd love to see the day where our children in Mexico can become the engineers, the innovators, the creators. I want to see the day, and I'm wondering if we will see it in our lifetime, when Mexico is no longer dependent on United States and European and Asian technology and products. The maquilas, the factories, are for foreign entities, not for Mexican-produced goods. I want to see the Mexican car, the Mexican computer, the Mexican computer chips, the Mexican rockets, the patents on medical and motor. I want to see the Mexican plane company. I want to see the birth of that, so that Mexico produces its own industry, exports it, and becomes truly a first world powerhouse. It can do that. They have the natural God-given resources and a very intelligent population. The problem is that there's some political maturing that needs to take place, education-wise as well, culturally-wise. What do you think? Are you and I going to see that sometime in our lifetime, at least for Mexico to produce its own planes or rockets or its own car, something like that? That's not a foreign company planted in Mexico that they depend on. They need to keep the foreigners happy and produce the cheap labor. They got the brains, but they're using the brawn right now. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, definitely keeping up with this analogy of going back to the college years or university years. When I was at the School of Economics, they taught us the difference between positive economics and normative economics. Positive economics is just describing the way things are. Okay, these are the resources that Mexico has. This is the level of education that Mexico or the U.S. has. But normative economics moves more into what it should be, or using the resources that we have in it to its best advantage. So definitely, we have the work, we have the demographics, we have the workforce, we have the culture, if I may add, going back to our Mexican roots, and whatever roadblocks or challenges that we're facing in Mexico as a nation have very little less to do with the trade agreement itself, and very much more to do, you just mentioned, about government issues, sadly, political issues, interests of, political groups or authorities that might, in a way, become the roadblock of that to happen. So I'm very positive, but we need to change some things. I mean, we know the fundamentals are there, demographics, the culture, everything is there. But there needs to be a change for Mexico to really take advantage of that.
We're working it. We're producing it. We have the work ethic. We have the intelligence. We have the natural resources. I pray to God that we see that in our lifetime, because si se puede. Mexico absolutely can develop its own industry and products and export that to the world. As far as the revision of USMCA, so that 6-year clock is ended, and now we're going year to year because the U.S. said, Donald Trump said, it's okay. No, let's go back to revising it every year. What gets revised first? Any conversation? You picked up any articles on this? On what gets revised?
Well, definitely the auto industry. There are several things, and I have my own notes here as well. Of course, automotive rules. It used to be 62% minimum U.S. content required to be sold in the States. Right now, it's 75%. And in this revision, they're especially interested in looking into China vehicles not entering, of course, U.S. territory through Mexico. As you know, Mexico is flooded with Chinese vehicle. Very good quality.
Electric vehicles.
Electric vehicle, very good quality,
Yes,
if I might say.
Yes, sir.
So that really pushes, okay, we're not going to allow those good quality vehicles into the States. We need to be producing them. And the same analogy that you just described for Mexico, I think applies to this nation, to the United States, to our nation here in America. Because we need to be compliant, we need to be offering those high quality vehicles that are being produced some other place in the world. So the automotive industry is in constant scrutiny. For instance, labor enforcement, specifically the visas and everything that has to do with high skilled labor. How much time can an engineer or a professional from other countries, specifically Mexico, can spend here in the United States or be here working on a project or being hired by a U.S. company? Everything has to do with labor mobility. And specifically digital trade, supply chain as well. Digital trade was not part of the original NAFTA in any way, shape, or form, right?
I don't think we could even imagine.
Oh, yeah. The term that maybe
iPhone didn't hit the market till 2007, and then everything that came off of that. That's crazy.
So all of that needs to be included. All of that needs to be, considered. And that's a very important part of it. Yeah.
All right. David Martinez Longoria, dear friend, and he is the economist for CAPA. One of the reasons we have these conversations, I'm able to share them from our nation's capital in this couple of days of special programming. CAPA, concrete, asphalt, pipe, and aggregate. That is CAPA. They're literally the foundation of many businesses and big projects in the area. So speaking of, okay, give me a quick review. Big projects in the air, from SpaceX, the Boca Chica Boulevard, all these places. What's going on with you?
SpaceX is producing at least $1 trillionaire in the area. And for the Rio Grande Valley, it's moving from the millions to the billions very quickly. CAPA, as a company, as a foundation, as a supplier of materials in the construction industry, we're so blessed to be part of that growth in the valley, all across the valley. We were just talking off air very briefly about the Brownsville area, the greater Brownsville tech project, the park, the industrial park there. Our company, CAPA, was actively involved in the development of the original, access roads and everything that has to do with that industrial park there. There are TxDOT projects coming in, specifically in the Boca Chica, SH4, widening of the highway right there.
The desperately needed widening of the highway from the edge of the city over to Starbase.
Yes.
Those 15 miles or so.
Yes.
To SpaceX.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't do that fast enough, brother.
It has already started, and we're being part of that.
Good.
And we hopefully we're going to continue to be part of that until the project is finished. And also the city itself, the city of Brownsville, is doing projects there. The new public safety facility is over 100,000 square feet. It's an $80 million investment, and CAPA is participating there. And again, coming back to the economy to grow, that was mentioning also fair that we're currently hiring, as a company, specifically in the Brownsville area right now. Every trade from, skilled drivers to skilled batchers to, skilled quality control engineers. because the Valley is offering more and more high-paying, high-quality jobs.
Well, I'll tell you what, the smarter set among all the skills that you mentioned, listen to KURV Talk Radio, the information hounds. And they're always listening to news and information. Well, Kappa is hiring people, and let them, challenge or give you a competitive salary compared to what you might have right now. Kappa is hiring at CAPA, Concrete, Asphalt, Pipe, and Aggregates. David Martinez Longoria, economist for Kappa. My brother, thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to our next conversation that I hope and pray is a really important one for a big announcement in South Texas, especially in Brownsville.
Thank you very much, Sergio, for having us here.
Thank you so much. It is KURV in DC. Thank you for joining us. Are you in the market for a new Toyota or pre-owned Toyota? Look no further than Toyota of Far. They have extensive selection of Toyota cars and Toyota trucks and Toyota SUVs, along with exceptional customer service every step of the way. Number to call, 956-815-2285.
Be part of a breakthrough in liver research. Join a MASH study at Summit Clinical Research. Study-related care, treatment, and compensation at no cost. Check eligibility now at NashLiverTrials.com.
Don't forget to make the call to Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. As a property manager and property owner, all these commercial roofing systems that you really do need to get checked. That roofing system, if it fails and allows water to come down at you or come down on your customers and expensive equipment, it's going to shut you down for quite a bit of time. And all that means it's money. Cha-ching is gone, washed away because of that water that came in. And it takes time to make a repair to a commercial roofing system. Why don't you make the call to absolutely the top commercial roofing outfit in this entire region with almost 130 years of experience. What they do is in the name, waterproofing, Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, and they want to meet you. And I thank Chamberlain for allowing me to communicate this to you. You call them, text them, that number that I'm going to give you. You can text them, say, hey, Sergio was talking about you. Come and check my commercial roofs, all of my buildings. And that way they can do one by one, give you a truly professional expert report. What they see is going on up there. If you're in good shape, there's nothing wrong. These folks are godly people, family-oriented business. They're honest. They'll tell you, hey, you're in good shape. Call us back in 2 years or something like that. Allow Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing to check your commercial roofing systems for free at 956-655-6178.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
KURV in DC. Conversations continue, and we want to say thank you to our many supporters that also contribute mightily to all this information we're trying to gather on advocacy on behalf of our community, the RGV. Joining me now is Giovanna Rangel, Senior Director of Defense and Space Affairs with the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Office, GBEDC. Giovanna, welcome back to the program. Let's lead with some of the latest visits you and crew from Brownsville, the mayor, perhaps Gilbert, our director of EDC, the team in Brownsville, trips to D.C. On behalf of your office, GBDC, and, of course, also the city. So tell me about some of the latest advocacy trips.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Sergio, thank you for having me on your show again. I think since the last update, since I've been here, I updated you on some of the initiatives that we're kind of focusing on for space and defense, right? And I mention this because a lot of the conversations and visits to at the federal level and as well as state level have been surrounding those initiatives. We have now, strengthened partnership with the city of Brownsville in these specific areas, just because we understand that, we need to come together to really unfold what the next 18 to 24 months will look like in these sectors, right? And so in preparation to that, and then just the conversations, we've been able to be in Washington, D.C. We joined the RGV partnership, as well as, other colleagues in the Rio Grande Valley, just talking about the different priorities in healthcare, economic development, and had really some great conversations, and visits from some of our congressmen. In addition to that, we were able to have conversations with defense national level organizations that are really going to position us, in a different level, and just being prepared, tapping into those resources that are available at a federal level, to continue that recruitment and attraction of workforce. The fact that we're having this conversation is, mind blowing to me.
It is.
If you were to ask me a couple months ago, Giovanna, what does that mean? It'd be, what, Sergio, we're trying to figure it out, right? But I think we're at a different level now, having these conversations with the Department of Defense, Department of War, and really just understanding, the opportunities that there are out there for Brownsville. And so that's really the goal here, and continuing these conversations in DC. This will not be the first time. We'll continue to follow up to ensure that we can get some success from that.
The very fact that at the Brownsville Economic Development Office, we have a senior director for not only space affairs, which obvious, we got Elon Musk in town and just the amazing things taking place there, but defense and space affairs. All this because we're hoping, praying that soon we'll get word confirmation. Cameron County has already said yes to the tax abatements. Try to get a shipyard out here to build. Again, everybody knows the name now. Saronic. I get what I call it, a AI powered speedboat, and build those there. Maybe create 10,000 jobs in the air, something like that. The Defense Department, talking to Brownsville, talking to our Economic Development Office, talking to City Hall and County about this project, maybe other projects. You just never know. I mean, strategically speaking, because of SpaceX here, it's a very important place in the country now. And we've gone from dream to reality, and that reality, I got to tell you, is breathtaking, a bit overwhelming. Space affairs, defense affairs, wow. So, yeah, you'll be doing a lot of traveling to D.C., I would imagine. Now, a lot of calls. And you got people from the Defense Department sitting you down to talk about that. So after, Lord willing, let's talk a bit more about the possibility. We're hoping and praying it is, maybe in, near future, this Saronic shipyard, building boats for our nation's defense. Hoping we get more jobs from that as well. So how do you prepare for something like that quickly? Because those are thousands of jobs that I would hope are filled by our kids or upskilled adults, people in the Valley. There's so much work to be done on the education side.
Absolutely. Part of the reason as to why we're having these conversations at a state and federal level is due to the fact that we may have the possibility of this project landing in Brownsville, right? And so we want to make sure that we're taking the steps necessary to be prepared and have the full support, whether it's locally, state level, and federally, to bring the resources for the workforce training, the opportunities, and really unveil what the next steps will look like. If this project comes, we will need the full support of every workforce partner, which we've already, engaged throughout the process here, to ensure that, we start the training, we start preparing our workforce, and we start engaging them very early on to understand the needs and to understand, the capabilities that will be needed to be successful in a project like this, right? We have a department within our organization that focuses just on workforce. And so it's crucial that, we start engaging with the community very early on. As you know, we do have a Careers in Coffee that we focus on annually in partnership with the City of Brownsville. And so I do believe that will be essential this year, not only, because of new projects coming in, but because of the amount of, workforce availability that there is currently, with some of the closures, on some of the companies that were here for a while that are no longer here, that has provided, a kind of a chunk of workforce availability that, we could upskill, and provide these opportunities for. So, just a matter of preparing. And so having these conversations early on, engaging our workforce partners, our organizations, it's just going to be crucial for us.
Jen, for Giovanna Rangel, she is the Senior Director for Defense and Space Affairs, looking on the horizon, hopefully praying that we do get a shipyard here in South Texas. Things are moving at the local level, government-wise, as I mentioned, Cameron County, providing the tax abatements necessary to attract that company, get them down here. And we're looking at thousands of jobs. So from workforce to a complementary industry, I would imagine that there are several moving parts. Of course, you got the workforce side, you're talking about that, but also what about industry that provides the chemicals, the tooling, the machine shop, the metals, things like that, the materials and other resources necessary for something like this. There must be something that you all are working on as well to coordinate the arrival. Maybe they're calling you saying, hey, we hear they're coming. We'd like to set up shop at the industrial park, something like that. So what can you tell us about that?
We'd love for it to sound that easy, right? Hey, we're getting calls left and right. We understand that things don't happen that way. But what I will say is that we are absolutely focused on putting together not a strategic plan, but a plan really how to, go after these specific tier 1 suppliers, the different companies that we will need to support and continue to support the projects that we currently have. Not only do we have, as you all know, obviously SpaceX in our back corner, but LNG, possible Texas LNG, and so on and so forth, right? And so we understand that we have to be very, very versatile in the different areas and different sectors that we attract here in Brownsville. So we are looking at, the different recruitment strategies to ensure that we have the right support for these projects as they continue to develop.
Does that fall on you and Gilbert to brainstorm and say, okay, what do we need in order to complement this? Because I thought maybe, in the industry, they're watching where things are moving and calling you, but apparently no, right? I guess you guys have to brainstorm, okay, what complements this to make sure to complete this project?
I think part of the strategy within the organization is coming up with that, right? Is to being very strategic as to where we go and recruit. Right now, we have a focus of, obviously developing our industrial park, our tech district, right? Because that's the availability land. So we do have a director who is in charge in leading that. And so within that, the recruitment team, myself, and of course, Gilbert, we come together and really decide kind of where we want to go after this. I bring in the information that I'm learning as I do these visits at a federal level as well as state level. At the state level, we're engaging our leadership to ensure that they know, the latest projects, that they know the latest priorities from this organization, because it's important that we tap into the economic development committees, that have been put together by our governor. There's also a workforce committee that we understand we need to gauge, especially on these big projects, especially if Saronic were to come to Brownsville. And so bringing in the information, the feedback that we get from them to the team is crucial, right? To be able to ensure that we make these decisions properly and move forward in our strategy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you with this question, a quick answer for this. If the gang in Washington could grant you a wish for what you do, you and Gilbert and the team at Economic Development Brownsville do day to day, if they could grant you a wish, what would it be to make things easier and help you get the job done?
Grant me a wish. Honestly, giving us an insight, or just really telling us, hey, what happens next, right? When a project, a life-changing project comes into a city in the defense sector, right? How do you prepare, right? Give me the tools, give me kind of the script to what to expect. I think right now, even if we knew or we had an idea, I think we're still, way off, because This has never happened in a city like this, right? Opportunities like this and projects like this have happened in other states, but again, it's a matter of really wanting to understand, what effect this would have.
Yeah. Get the numbers for the gang in Norfolk, Virginia, or also in I think Mobile, Alabama. They got production of some craft out there. Continued success, Giovanna. You and Gilbert, all the gang at Brownsville EDC, and we're hoping for good things near future. A big announcement, and all these jobs coming to the area. That's Giovanna Raquel with the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Office. Be well.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Appreciate it.
Conversations, KURV in DC continue. Thanks for joining us.
Freedom is calling, and the savings are bigger than ever at the Toyota FAR Freedom Sales Event. Drive home an all-new Tacoma for just $92 a month, a powerful Tundra for $177 a month, a stylish Camry for only $92 a month, or a versatile RAV4 for just $189 a month. Visit Toyota FAR at 1625 West Interstate 2 in FAR, shop online at toyotafar.com, or call 956-815-2285.
Toyota FAR, somos buena gente.
It's Ram Truck Month. Lease a new 2026 Ram 1500 Laramie 4x4 for only $595 a month. Plus, get Ram's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty at Payne Rio in Rio Grande City, Ed Payne Motors in Weslaco, Payne Alice, and Payne Edinburgh. Your Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealers in the Rio Grande Valley and throughout southern Texas. Locate to get us regardless.
For over a century, one name has stood for quality, safety, and service in the commercial roofing and waterproofing industry, Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. While our services have grown, our commitment to safety, ongoing training, customer service, and attention to detail has remained the foundation of our success, ensuring our teams are prepared, our customers are protected, and our projects are delivered with excellence.
From roofing and sheet metal to waterproofing and caulking, leak repair and preventative maintenance, and even full building and parking garage restoration, Chamberlain delivers professional, personalized results every time.
From large-scale roof replacements or quick leak repair, Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing provides top-quality installations at a competitive price, all with the spirit of cooperation for our valued clients.
Now serving Rio Grande Valley and throughout Texas, you can count on Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing to deliver more. Call 956-655-6178 or visit ChamberlainLTD.com to learn more.
History's unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
The head of the Fed testifies at the House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The inflation surge of the last 5 years will be a thing of the past.
And new Federal Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh tells lawmakers they're committed to lower prices even when dealing with
conflicts overseas and the rest. We can't have and shouldn't have a direct control on that. But inflation's a choice. We monetary policymakers need to choose lower prices.
Oil and gas prices have risen this week after a flare-up in fighting with Iran, but last month there was no inflation. Consumer prices were down 0.4% from May. There was inflation year over year, but June's annual rate of increase dropped from 4.2% to 3.5%. Before Warsh spoke, Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters urged the chairman to resist White House interference.
Trump has repeatedly attacked your predecessor, Chairman Jerome Powell, because he refused to kiss the ring and bend monetary policy to the president's demand.
At another House hearing, 2 Supreme Court justices are testifying for the first time in 7 years, asking Congress for an increase in the security budget. Justice Elena Kagan told lawmakers police expect
38% annual increase in threats this year, which follows a 25% increase last year. For some of us, those threats have come very close.
And Justice Amy Coney Barrett went into detail.
6 weeks ago, I was the victim of a swatting incident.
That's when someone makes a fake 911 call leading to a big police response.
Many of us, me included, have received threatening anonymous deliveries designed to intimidate and harass us.
After a third day of U.S. military strikes on Iran, a blockade goes into effect again around Iran's ports in 5 hours as Iran keeps trying to control the Strait of Hormuz with attacks on ships and oil tankers in the last 2 days. America's listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
South Carolina will get a new senator in a few hours to replace the late Lindsey Graham, who died suddenly Saturday night.
Darlene Graham Nordone was appointed Monday by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster.
It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now.
I promise to work hard over the next several months to support the president and carry forward the efforts of my brother on behalf of the citizens of South Carolina.
Darlene Graham Nordone will become the first woman to represent South Carolina in the U.S. Senate. In central South Carolina, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Graham's sister will only finish her brother's current term that ends in January. Lindsey Graham was running for a new term, so next month there will be a special Senate primary in South Carolina to choose a new Republican nominee for the November election. The Washington, D.C. reflecting pool is without water again for another controversial fix, trying to keep it clean and blue and not green with algae.
President Trump says the reflecting pool at the Lincoln Memorial is again drained to allow for repairs needed to fix what he calls scars and damage done by vandals. The reflecting pool was closed earlier this summer to undergo a more than $16 million renovation. Shortly thereafter, an algae bloom needed to be removed, and blue sealant showed signs of peeling. The president blames both on acts of vandalism. An Olympic canoe racer is charged with a felony count of destruction of government property, accused of ripping a portion of the sealant. David Hearn pleaded not guilty and says he reached in the pool to touch material already floating. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
On Wall Street, a mixed bag. The Dow's down 27 points, but the Nasdaq's surging up 243. Soccer's World Cup resumes this afternoon in Dallas, the first semifinal match. Spain versus France, 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Tomorrow, Argentina plays England. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Partly sunny, breezy, and hot. The high in the mid-90s to 100 today. Still breezy this evening, becoming cloudy and humid. The low reaching the lower 80s. Then for Wednesday, breezy, still hot with variably cloudy skies. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. Thursday, increasingly windy, becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon. A thunderstorm around. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
This segment brought to you by City of McAllen. Refresh 50/50.
If you've been in a car accident, then you better get ready for a fight.
You need a force for justice. The J. Gonzalez Law Firm. No other law firm in the Valley has more offices, more resources, and reaches more people every day for over 20 years, fighting for the people of the Valley. 1-800-CAR-CRUSH. The J. Gonzalez Law Firm. A force for justice.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. From the Radio United Broadcast Center, this is the Sergio Show. Talking about the news headlines and topics that affect you. And now, the Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
From the nation's capital, the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. Happy Tuesday. I'm Sergio Sanchez, along with show producer Fred Cruz. And And I'm in D.C., and Freddie's he's steering the ship in Mission, Texas, 710 KURV. We're sharing with you conversations that I conducted over the past several days with many folks in business and local leadership. Make it possible for us to be in the nation's capital here, along with the National Association of Broadcasters. We're tagging along with them, doing some door knocking in the halls of Congress today. I want to say thank you to among the folks who make it possible for us to be here. It's the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Office. Thank you to CAPA, that's concrete, asphalt, pipe, and aggregates. David Martinez Longoria. Thank you, David. To Tommy Hanka from Hanka Saad, Rio Bank, Ford Sasser, God bless you, brother. All the good folks at Rio Bank, and the McAllen Economic Development Office, and also the City of Weslaco. If you miss any of these conversations, join us at 710 KURV Facebook, 710 KURV YouTube, 710 KURV X, or producer Joe Salinas and Zach and too will get a chance to onboard those conversations. From the nation's capital, the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. KURV in DC Conversations. And I want to say thank you, personally thank you to a dear friend. I'm going to refer to him as a pillar in our community, Tommy Hanka from Hanka Side. And he grows other stuff as well. And I found out in my conversation with Tommy, he's a Houston boy as well.
That's right.
All right. So where'd you grow up in Houston? We were there at the same time, Muscle Man. I was a teenager in Houston up to about 22. And I moved down here in 90. My new wife, my Deli and I, we moved down here in 93. All right. And you came around that same time.
I was right behind you, 94. 94.
All right. So you're a fourth generation. You said truck farmer.
That's correct.
What does that mean?
Truck farmer, it means that always on a small scale, they just kind of harvest their crop and they haul it to the market in a pickup truck. That's how as I understand how the term.
I hope that's a long bed, man, to feed the family. You got a short bed.
Believe me, it was tough back in those days.
It's a small yield. So you're fourth generation
here in the U.S.
growing all sorts of stuff.
Right.
All right. So tell me about your dad, your family.
Well, they came over as immigrants, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, and they settled in the Houston area and truck farmed and had a dairy like everyone else did. And all those guys knew how to do is work hard. And when I was born in Houston. We were still farming in Houston on the north side, and they found some better land down south in the Wharton County area. So when I was a kid, they moved to Wharton and continued to truck farm.
You still got roots up there in Wharton?
No. They've all moved away.
But the guys at Projects, that smokehouse, that barbecue joint.
Sure.
Right?
Mikey and his brother.
You know them personally?
Yeah, they're good guys.
So next time I go to Houston and I stop by Projects, is it Projects or Projects?
It depends on where you come from.
Yeah. Is it Hilgi or Hilja?
It's Hilgi.
Oh, yeah. At Projects. You guys need to go stop by that place. Best little pecan tarts, best sausages, best beef jerky, cheese. Man, they got everything at Projects.
It's a neat place.
Yeah. So I said, I want to talk to the owner. I go there. Hey, you know Tommy Hanka? You don't have like an outstanding debt.
No, we're
right?
good. We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Get mad at me. Say,
nothing negative there.
Small world, man. Small world. I've known you for several years, but I'm today old, man. As we have this conversation before the DC trip, I'm today old knowing that Tommy Hanka from Hanka Side.
Yes, sir.
Hanka Side. So the sod business.
Yes.
Is it good? How you doing? Good these days?
It's tied directly to housing, and the housing business in the Rio Grande Valley is doing well. And when it slows down, the sod slows down. When it speeds up, the sod speeds up.
Ooh, that's got to be a thirsty crop.
Sure.
Right.
We use a lot of water on the sod farms, and you have to have a good quality product.
No, and with all the house, because when I'm thinking like the heat right now, the dry weather, well, there's lawns dying everywhere. They call you, say, hey, come and replenish. But this would not be the time to replenish. It would be what, in the spring?
The sod will grow just fine this time of year if you plant it, but it just requires more water in the summer heat. So ideally, you plant it when it cools down a little bit, or when you're going to get a weather event it'll rain for a week or two, so it'll get established.
Yeah.
And once when sod is established, after 6 months or a year, it becomes more and more drought tolerant.
Tommy Hanka from Hanka Sod, my guest, one of our supporters, taking us, sending us to Washington, D.C. for the KURV and D.C. conversations. I'm doing a recap of the industry. I got to ask you the secret recipe. How do you keep the grub worms and all the pests out? Do you have are you constantly throwing stuff out there?
Constantly.
Really?
We
like constantly, what, monthly, quarterly, or what do you do to protect your sod farm?
For the insects, I would say quarterly, but for fungus, we spray monthly, constantly spraying, even in the winter. And a key to growing sod in the Rio Grande Valley is you have to lay off the nitrogen in the fall. And so many people, they put nitrogen on their lawns in October, November, December, January, and that is a definite no-no because the nitrogen will cause disease in the winter months. So I always caution my customers, please don't put nitrogen out after October the 1st.
This is for the video audience. Again, when I tell you can rewind on YouTube, rewind on Facebook, rewind on X, yeah, there's the secret sauce right there. You're going to rewind, nitrogen. Make sure no nitrogen.
Wait until Valentine's Day. After Valentine's Day, put it out.
Excellent. Tommy Hanka Sod, KURV NDC conversation. Doing a quick recap of one of the reasons I was thinking you would be a good conversation on ag is because of water. The water crisis has, I'm sure it has hit you and hit colleagues.
Hard.
We do have, thanks to the Trump administration, somewhat of a resolution, a delivery of the annual requirement. Now we got, and I think they've delivered already 350,000 K. Okay, fine. But they're still in arrears, I don't know, like 800,000 or maybe 900,000. And got to figure out how that gets paid. Tell me about the pain, all the consternation you and neighbors and friends in the industry, various groups have gone through for several years now. And you probably have seen some folks leave the industry altogether, leave ag.
Absolutely. And a lot of it had to do with water. A lot of it had to do with other reasons that they left. But back to the water, is me personally, I own 1,200 acres that I cannot plant because I do not have enough water. If Mexico would have paid its water debt, I would be able to plant this 1,200 acres. So it's just sitting there fallow. I'm having to maintain it and keep the weeds out of it, and I just don't have enough water to grow a crop. Period. So I don't even waste my seed on putting any pre-plant fertilizer or even putting any seed out. So we just leave it fallow, and it's not fun.
If you could grow on those 1,200 acres that you have no water allocation for, what would you grow in an ideal situation?
That I would use that as my cover crop. So I'd grow corn, cotton, and sorghum, perhaps sesame, and because I still farm 1,000 acres of vegetables, and I use that land to rotate out. And right now I'm using all of my water for my vegetables, and I still can't grow as many vegetables as I wish I could. But it's a juggling act.
Más o menos, how many acres do you have planted right now? What do you have aside from the sod that's out there growing?
Zero right now.
Nothing,
we're wrapping up. No, not this time of year.
So how does the government, the federal government, USDA, and Ag Department, anybody, how do they help the American farmer, either through insurance or subsidy or, I don't know, how does Washington help?
Well, Washington has heard a lot of our concerns, and I have to admit they've been okay with us down here. They could always do more, and we always want more, but they have heard some of our concerns. But simply, the row crop farmers are not going to be able to survive with the commodity prices that we have today without a break. Whether that break comes from higher prices or if it comes from government subsidies. And I want to step back a little bit, Sergio. This time of year, I just don't have any vegetables. In the past 8 months, I have grown 1,200 acres of vegetables on my farms. But we're wrapping up the season, so normally we would have.
Commodity prices are deflated because of the international market and the subsidy those countries put into their stuff that they ship overseas.
Correct.
So it's not a fair market.
Correct.
Unless Washington subsidizes the American grower as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that other countries, the government is subsidizing their growers directly and indirectly. So, I mean, they can produce it a lot cheaper than we can. And then it's a world market. This commodity market is a world market.
So would you say that some of the tariffs that President Trump tried to put in place were somewhat beneficial or try to provide some support and protection for the American farmer?
Shoot, I don't know. I'm really not a world economist like that. I'm sorry. I know that they really did not help me personally in the valley, and there are no subsidies for vegetables.
You're not growing soy, are you?
No,
I keep
no.
hearing all these sentences about soy, trying to force the Chinese to buy more American soy, and what was it the last one? Oh, it was even Iran. Yeah, they'll open up the markets to American soy. Okay, yeah, that didn't.
Can't win
If they buy anything, it's in flames right now. We got more missiles flying into Iran. All right. Agriculture is, and I'll use your word, a foundational industry. It may not be the bread and butter of the Valley economy as it once was. We were a Valley ag economy. Right. Things are changing so fast around here. I would imagine that some of the evolution is spurred by just the loss of acreage to industry, where you have, what do they call it, urban sprawl. Well, this would be industrial sprawl as well. We're losing some farmland in South Texas. It's kind of scary to think of only the few thousand, tens of thousands of acres that we have for example, citrus, versus in Florida citrus, which would be like 10 times more. But even so, they got their own problems out there. So little by little, we're losing a bit more farmland. If Washington, either in the protection of the industry or something else, if Washington could grant you a wish, our state, our federal representatives, Senator, the president, if they could grant ag a wish, what would it be from your perspective?
Well, that was real easy to answer a couple of months ago, but as I understand, they've kind of worked it out better, that this work visa program. And it's still bulky. It's still not good, the H-2A program. It's still not ideal. It's better than it was. I would love to see some more improvement on that, and some more initiative to get Americans to work. And I know everyone says that Americans don't want to work in ag, but I don't think that's true. I think that if we could pay them a fair wage and give them steady employment, I think that there are plenty of Americans that will work in ag.
Yeah, that H-2A on the, like you said, the wage stabilization was one thing. The more stable employment, what I hear is what I was proposed in there, which would be allow some of them to work year round, not only a season, but stick around.
Yes,
we know you can do it. You can help jump from this field to this other field, and maybe like that, moving them around to keep working, keep harvesting.
They ironed that out with H-2A, right?
Yeah,
I have it right.
That was one of the proposals. It was salary. Yes. And be able to stick around and work longer. And some of the provisions of where the H-2A.
And also if Washington can just keep their eyes on the farmers down here, because as I said earlier, we're not going to be here without some kind of government help or without the commodity prices giving. And that's a Washington decision.
Yeah, because it's not a fair market when you look at it on the international stage. All right, brother. You still have any family in Houston?
No, we all. I mean, yes, in Houston, but they're not in ag. But
yeah. You go to see the Astros game ever down there?
No.
Tell me you're an Astros
Aggies,
fan.
Right? No, I'm an Aggie. You know that.
Just Aggie. I know you're an Aggie.
Right.
Yeah, but you can still be an Astros fan.
Okay, I'll root for you.
Yeah, I know your wife's an Astros fan.
Oh, you better believe it. She's crazy about them.
Yeah, I know. She is. Her family is as well. I see those stars blazing on social media when the Astros see. Good to see you, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
God bless you. You're in the family, brother. From Hank Assad, Tommy Hanka, and yes, one of our Aggie supporters come football season. As well, because he bleeds maroon. By the way, I told him it's a condition. He really needs to get it looked at. But,
you may too.
All right. Thank you, Tommy. Yes, sir. KURV in DC. Conversations continue.
The Drive to Freedom sales event is happening now at South Texas Buick GMC. Drive home a new GMC Sierra for just $499 a month, or enjoy the comfort and style of a Buick Encore GX starting at $279 a month. Plus, save thousands on select new Buick and GMC models. Visit SouthTexasGMC.com or call 661-5000. Celebrating over 20 years with you. Sherry Road exit between McAllen and Mission. South Texas Buick GMC. Not the biggest, just the best.
Join KURV Radio in our social media channels as we broadcast from the nation's capital and share conversations with various 956 leaders with an insight into their advocacy efforts from the review of USMCA, immigration and labor, the space industry, and the Mexico water fight. It's KURV in DC, made possible in part by Interlink Trade Services, VIP Providers, Greater Brownsville Economic Development, and Hank Assad.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Thank you, Weslaco, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio.
KURV in DC, conversations, special programming from the nation's capital, made possible by a host of friends, different organizations here in South Texas. They're giving us a heads up on some of the advocacy that they conduct on behalf of our community, from economic development to various industries. Right now, I want to say thank you to one of the organizations that made it possible for us to make it to the nation's capital for something. You can imagine how many tentacles when it comes to the medical community, folks who need certain services, like, for example, yours truly. We don't see much work on the cystic fibrosis side for my kid, but there are several other conditions that have advocacy organizations that try to provide funding either through block grant or through especially tailored funding for example, our kids. Now, it's a very nebulous statement that I just made, but I'm hoping to get a better definition now. I want to say thank you to Mike, my friend Mike, over at VIP Providers. They're among many folks who make it possible for KURV to be in DC. VIP Providers. I'll talk more about them in the future. Meantime, I want to welcome the organization that my friend Mike wanted to spotlight, which is an awesome organization. I found out about Capable Kids through a friend, Carmen Pagan. She has a therapy place around at our old offices, Freddie, at Jackson, right? Our old offices there on Jackson in Far McAllen, where Far meets McAllen. Capable Kids is an organization. I guess it may have been something that she initiated, but let me find out. Bobby Kranicki. Bobby Kranicki is CEO of Capable Kids. It's from the 956 for the 956. What is Capable Kids, Bobby?
So Capable Kids is a nonprofit. It's non-disability specific. So that kind of makes us a little unique in the fact that we'll serve children and adults with any disability, not a particular diagnosis.
Okay.
So we offer the services locally for local children and adults with disabilities in the 956 area.
When my friend Mike said, hey, I want to spotlight Capable Kids, I know who they are. I remember Carmen Pagan reaching out years ago, a few years ago. It seems recent, not too long ago. Said she told me, we got a park that's opening up for an inclusive park. I think is what they called it, right?
Yes.
They have swings for kids and wheelchairs to hop aboard and other type of equipment for all kids, no matter the disability, physical disability limitations, for them to enjoy. And that was, how many years back was that when they started Capable Kids?
Capable Kids started in 2015, so we just celebrated our 11th birthday.
All right. So great organization. I asked Bobby off air if it was this was like a local chapter of a national group. No, these are local therapists and families coming together. Especially, did I say it right? Carmen was the driving force behind this?
Well, they were actually therapists out of Milestone's clinic, pediatric therapy clinic, where that Carmen is one of the owners of. And they're the ones who started Capable Kids.
Okay. So tell me the day-to-day at Capable Kids. Like, what's it like in the work that you do in helping out these families and these kids?
Sure. So we actually have a lot of different programs. We offer adaptive sports, which makes this a little unique because a lot of kids want to play sports, but the school systems and organizations are not set up to modify a sport for a child with a disability. So we offer adaptive versions of that so they can participate in those milestones and play those sports that kids want to play.
Can you give me some examples, maybe top of mind?
Sure. We actually have a competitive baseball team that just played San Antonio Kinetic Kids. We lost to Kinetic Kids, but I think next year we'll win. We have adaptive basketball, adaptive football, adaptive golf. We're getting ready to roll out adaptive volleyball. And we offer 3 different divisions. So we modify the sport to fit the abilities of each particular child. So regardless of their abilities, they'll be able to play and participate in the sport at their division level.
You know, the first thing that comes to mind is, for example, either basketball or like kids in wheelchairs, right? But it's more than just that, though, right? It's augmenting or bringing in other kids.
Correct. We have 3 divisions. So maybe a child who's a wanderer, we assign a volunteer just to work with that particular child, or a child who has a visual impairment, or we modify and allow that child with a visual impairment to be able to participate, or a hearing impairment. We modify all of the sports so a child with any ability will be able to participate.
Kids that are impaired as far as eyesight. Yeah, I've seen those videos where they have like sound systems where you get closer to the ball, or is it a higher pitch or something like that. It cues you.
So we use a multitude of methods, but we also assign a volunteer or a staff member to work with each child so that we can ensure that they're able to participate. And that might be reminding them, letting them know where the ball is, etc.
You also mentioned that Capable Kids, you have a program that hopes to help many of them develop skills that they can use in the workforce, or skills training, things like that, right?
We do. So in addition to the adaptive sports, we offer social programming, and we just started last year a program called Empower Capability, which teaches life and job skills. And so we partner with local organizations, and after a child gets out of school, we can work with them to help them learn the skills required that they can transfer later into employment. And we'll work with them as long as they need, or for life skills, so they can develop those skills to become as independent as possible after they've gotten out of school and they're no longer in those transition programs.
Do you work with a school system or a college to get that done, or it's in-house somehow you provide the training?
We provide that in-house, so that is a newer program. And we work with kids after they've left the school system, because so many school systems have a great transition program, but when the kids leave, they lose that. They lose access to that, and maybe they weren't ready for employment, or they had the ability to become more independent and they just haven't reached their peak yet, and we want to make sure they still get the support they need.
Bobby Kranicki is CEO of Capable Kids, born in the 956 for our 956 kids and families. Big thank you to VIP providers. Mike, Lord bless you, brother. Thank you for the spotlight on Capable Kids. Could you give me maybe a couple of examples of the workforce skill training that you provide? Where would we put these kids?
Sure. So we partnered with some organizations, HEB, and we partnered with Crafted Needs Bakery to teach kids how to work within the bakery. And so we're working right now with them on placing some kids there.
Excellent.
So that's one of the programs.
No, that's a great landing pad. I mean, I love HE. I lovingly call it HE Butt, because that's what the B stands for, is butt. I love HEB. I tell Freddie, hey, this radio thing doesn't work for us, man. I'd be happy to go unload trucks and sample some of the fruit.
HEB is amazing.
I love HEB. What a great organization. That's a great place for them to perhaps find a career.
And they're so supportive of us and so many other nonprofits in the area.
Excellent, HEB. You told me off air that as far as funding that is tied to from state, usually comes from federal, you, like many organizations that are nonprofits, you do the CDBG, the block grant.
We do.
Route. And have you been able to receive some funding?
We have. We're just starting our 3rd year of CDBG funding in Hidalgo County through some of the precincts.
I remember in the volunteer work, for example, the Salvation Army and other organizations, is it project specific? I don't remember. Is it project specific? You have to say, we want it for this. and then they give you the money for the
It
plug.
is. So it allows us, there's a particular program that supports adults with disabilities. And so that's a program we apply for. And it allows us to provide physical educational programming to support those individuals that meet the eligibility requirements.
Which begs the question, how many capable kid offices or room? Well, how many cities are you right now?
So we actually serve all 4 counties. So we offer programming in Cameron, Hidalgo, Starr, and Willacy County.
Okay. With one central office for capable
We do.
kids.
We're based out of McAllen, but we send our staff wherever there is a need. So we provide programming on site in those other counties. And we're expanding more into Starr County this year.
Well, the reason I ask you, because what I do remember about some of this block grant requests, when you have to go to City Hall, state your case. So I'm guessing you go to McAllen City Hall to state your case.
Well, I went to, this is for the county. So I went to HUD, the county, because that's where we're getting the funding from for this year's grant. And so those funds can only be used in that area. So
county.
we depend on sponsors and donations from the community to help us, and we write grants to help us fund other.
Well, let's speak a bit more about the local funding that is needed. Bobby Kranicki is CEO of Capable Kids, and boy, they've done a lot in this little north of 10 years now. How many kids? Like last year, how many kids or families were you able to help out?
We served over 5,900 kids last year.
Almost 6,000 last year. And likely more on the way, probably.
Yeah,
right?
yes. Since we've started, since we've been in our new tracking system, we went from serving about 1,000 kids a year 4 years ago to just under 6,000 as of last year.
How do they find you? How do families find you? Is it through referrals from doctors or
It's
letter?
word of mouth. We do send information to doctor's office, therapy clinics. We partner a lot with the special education school systems to let them know.
Okay, let's get to the calendar because
Sure.
I'm going to run out of time here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Freddie, for the heads up. Okay, so you got 3 events I want folks to know about. The one is right around the corner, July 25th at the Edinburgh Hospital, South Texas Health Systems.
It is.
Okay, what's going on there?
It's the Capabilities Expo. It's the very first Capabilities or Disability Expo that's being held in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one-stop shop. Families can go there, doctors, nurses, therapists, anybody who's interested could go into that one location and find local, state, and national resources that support individuals with disabilities.
Okay.
So they'll be able to see things that they may never have been able to see or learn about before. There's also going to be presentations
You
there.
said that there will be some folks that probably have never come to the Valley before.
Yes.
That will make presentations
Yes.
and inform the public on issues for the families or the disabled
Correct.
child. Yeah.
So we do have, like, for example, we have Sleep Safe that's going to talk about advances in having individuals with disabilities be able to sleep safe. We have KI Mobility that will talk about new advances in mobility and wheelchairs. And so there's just a lot of different resources available.
That Capability Expo is Saturday, July 25th. What time do they start?
10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, 10 to 3, July 25th. Put it on the calendar. If you have someone in your family or a kiddo that is disabled in any fashion, wheelchair.
Or you work with somebody that's disabled or you know somebody.
That's true.
Mhm.
July 25th, South Texas Health Systems, the Edinburgh Hospital.
It is on Trenton.
The big, pretty one on the new one there. South Texas
Health System.
Health
yeah.
Systems, 10 in the morning. And then the next event is, thank you, Larry Delgado, for the Taste of Texas event, August 27th. Put it on the calendar. Thursday, August 27th. That's a fundraiser.
It is.
For capable
It
kids.
is.
Yeah.
It's a tasting, a multi-course tasting prepared by famed chef Larry Delgado. People get to have a taste of Texas.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to one of those events. I'd get in trouble. Sir, it's taste testing, not a buffet, sir. You can't be serving yourself like big portions. That's August 27th. Please come back and give me more information on that as we get closer.
We would love to.
And again, thank you to the Delgado Group. Thank you, Larry, for putting on this fundraiser, Taste of Texas for Capable Kids, August 27th at Brookhaven. That's
It is.
That's there and next to Mott's off the freeway. That's Jeremy Smith's place. And Casino Night on, let's see here, September 19th, another one for the
It
calendar.
is. So Casino Night, it's going to be held at the Grand Hacienda at Skipper Ranch in Encino, Texas. But we're offering the opportunity to take a party bus from the McAllen, Edinburgh area to the event. It should be a whole lot of fun. There's going to be cards and gambling and a silent auction and entertainment. It should be a lot of fun.
Excellent. I know producer Joe Salinas will be editing this video to repost it on
Perfect.
LinkedIn and other places. Joe, there will not be maquinitas at that casino night. No, it's a pretend casino. It's a fundraiser. Okay, so no maquinitas on that one. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely, it follows the law.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. Pleasure to meet you. Look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Another conversation for DC, KURV in DC. Thank you to VIP providers. Thank you, Mike, for allowing us to spotlight capable kids of the Rio Grande Valley.
Our mom accomplished so much in her life. She was a great mother, wife, and school teacher. She amazed so many. When we lost her, we were so very sad, but comforted that she had pre-planned her funeral with the fine people at McCaleb Funeral Home. A live celebration would tell her big story.
Hi, I am Carla McCaleb. Along with my husband Mark and our caring staff, we know we are in the healing business because we hear it from families we serve. Please read our reviews about our life celebrations and fair and transparent prices for unmatched service, and how we lift people up with our healing care and compassion. Celebrating life since 1963.
The Valley's only life celebration home. To learn more about the choices you can make now so a future funeral becomes more of a celebration of life, call Carla at 956-650-2841, 956-650-2841, or visit their website, McCalebFuneralHome.com.
If you want to keep your storefront as it is, well, that's your business. If you want a beautiful new storefront, now that's our business with Refresh 50/50. Refresh 50/50 is the City of McAllen's grant program that offers up to $25,000 in matching funds to beautify your storefront. Refresh 50/50 provides funds for improvements like new doors and windows, exterior paintings and art projects, and repair or removal of old signs and awnings. Add new lighting to enhance your storefront, install permanent landscaping, or finally repair roofs, stucco, and other parts of your exterior. The City of McAllen increased Refresh 50/50 grants to $25,000 to help more small businesses grow. Over 100 McAllen businesses have been helped. Restaurants, retail, and more. Let us help you. Contact the City of McAllen Office of Retail and Business Development at 681-1001 or apply at refresh5050.com.
Here you go, Dad. At LSNB, we build strong foundations on values that matter
and business practices you can rely on.
Investing in education,
volunteering in the communities we serve,
and fueling our region's economy.
For over 40 years,
our mission has been supporting area businesses.
We are LSNB.
Donating more money to more causes than all other area banks combined.
Here, in a place we call home.
We are LSNB. The Valley's Bank.
Be part of a breakthrough in liver research. Join a MASH study at Summit Clinical Research. Study-related care, treatment, and compensation at no cost. Check eligibility now at NASHlivertrials.com.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Partly sunny, breezy, and hot. The high in the mid-90s to 100 today. Still breezy this evening, becoming cloudy and humid. The low reaching the lower 80s. Then for Wednesday, breezy, still hot with variably cloudy skies. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. Thursday, increasingly windy, becoming mostly cloudy in the afternoon. A thunderstorm around. Highs in the mid and upper 90s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Catarina on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
KURV in DC. Conversations continue. I want to say thank you to so many different partners and friends in the community who make it possible for these 2 days of special programming from the nation's capital. And yes, we're talking about advocacy and lobbying on behalf of entities, cities, counties, economic development groups, companies, all sorts of different folks here in South Texas. who want to do the face-to-face need to do the face-to-face up in Washington to make sure we get things done and we get the funding necessary. Among them, I want to say thank you, and I have him here in the studio again, Jorge Torres with Interlink Trade Services, as I mentioned before, the top expert when it comes to import and export. JT, welcome back. Brother, let's talk about NAFTA, USMCA, and how you got started in this import-export business. I think at the very beginning, you got you got the surfboard, and you started riding that wave at the time, at the beginning of NAFTA. So tell me about that, what you saw.
Yes, I started in the custom brokerage business, import-export business back in 1993, right before when NAFTA was going to be implemented, which was 1994. So yeah, I started a long time ago, 32 years ago.
And it was much simpler back then, I would imagine, right, compared to what we have today, as far as all the rules.
Yes, it was simpler. Yeah, very different than our current environment.
Well, good thing, because you didn't have AI back then to input all that information and spit something out.
Yeah, technology was totally different. You know, we had the dot matrix printers and the laser printers were just coming up, and emails were like barely starting, like the monochrome monitors and all that.
We would send little messages through pigeon to different stations back then. I think it's a good story for you to retell. Tell folks how you got started in the import-export business. It's kind of in your blood a bit.
Yes. My family, my father worked for a U.S. custom broker, and I have an uncle that was a Mexican custom broker. My grandfather worked for Mexican customs, started in Progreso, Yucatan, got transferred to Mexico City, and then to Nuevo Laredo, and he settled there and retired there as a cabo aduanal, what we call it. It's a rank. So
I would imagine high rank.
Aduanal,
from Mexico. Did you work with your dad a little bit, import-export, exposed to the industry in any way, or just?
Not much. I just knew that he was working there. Actually, I got into the business, not by mistake, but by chance. I have a degree in accounting, and I started working for a maquila in the finance department, and then they needed someone for cost accountant for customs valuation. And they saw this guy as an accountant, so let's see if he wants to do this. So I said yes, and I started doing customs valuation, and then I started working for a U.S. broker after that, and the rest is history. So here I am.
Well, you know the language of business and accounting. Was that your dream job? Or if you had a chance to do it again, would you be like a rock star or something?
Obviously, I wanted to be a CPA.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, that was my dream job, but destiny took me a different path, which I'm not against it. I love what I do. So
10-4, and we do too, because we get to talk with you about import-export realities these days. Okay, so USMCA is under review up in DC, and if you could explain in layman's terms for working people, like what's happening now with the review, by when might the newer version of USMCA that it stays, it's not going anywhere. Last time I saw you a few days back, you were explaining to us that despite the fact that the Trump White House has expressed a desire not to continue, not to renew, it's not going away. It's going to be around for many more years, more than a decade. It'll be around at least. Okay, so the review, what's taking place, and by when will the review be finished, and what might that look like in the near future?
Well, like we mentioned, in different from NAFTA didn't have an expiration date, but when Trump 1.0, the first Trump administration, he got out of NAFTA and he said, let's do a USMCA, but now let's put an expiration date, which was 16 years from the implementation, which we started July 1st, 2020, and it's good until June 30th, 2036. But, so they put an expiration date. He wanted 5 years, actually, but Mexico and Canada negotiated up to 16 years.
Wow.
But they put a sunset clause, which is this year, which is it's after 6 years of implementation to do a review and have the countries agree to extend it for another 16 years. Mexico and Canada did agree, but the U.S. didn't agree to extend it under its current conditions. So what that does is that triggers yearly reviews. So every year and this is as per USMCA that's where a lot of people get concerned. But this is following what USMCA has in place. So 6 years, no agreement to extend it another 16 years. Let's review it every year until we come to terms to extend it another 10 years. So if that doesn't happen, then it expires in 2036. That's simple, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So this reviews already started this year. So they're gonna have a meeting in Mexico City, July 20th. To continue the discussions. Each country has their own wish list of what they want change in USMCA.
So we've got the clock is ticking now. 10 years, year to year, the review will take place. So in essence, we're looking at haggling every year back and forth. U.S. saying, okay, when it comes to rules of origin for whatever, a toaster or a car, things like that. You need a certain amount of U.S. jobs, a certain amount of U.S. goods, materials. Okay, we'll just go year to year to year. And let's say there's no agreement. It would benefit Canada and Mexico to agree somehow to some of the demands for made in the USA or jobs in the USA. But it could very well be 10 years of haggling and then the expiration. So take me 10 years into the future. If it expires and there is no more USMCA, then what? What happens under those conditions?
Well, we all know that the U.S. needs its trading partners, Mexico and Canada, mainly Mexico. So if it was to expire on 2036, there will be another agreement, maybe bilateral agreements, because most definitely the United States needs Mexico as a trading partner. So what's happening right now is everybody wanted to all three countries to agree to extend it because that gives you certainty, and that allows companies to focus on investment and developing factories and production lines in Mexico, U.S., and Canada, because these projects, a manufacturing plant, you're looking at 10, 15, 20 years of projections. If we don't have certainty, if we're waiting for them to agree, and every year that if 2026 comes to play, they don't agree, and then 2027, so on, that uncertainty doesn't allow companies to do long-term investments. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
The Trump administration, in expressing that letter, not wishing to renew or continue, right? Of course, we got the 10-year period now. Just an example of some of the power that is in the executive branch when it comes to trade, tariffs, trade, and decisions. For example, you were telling me last time, the Section 301, reviewing whether there's forced labor, slave labor in China. Try to find a way to tax, to punch a tariff on China again. You were telling me off air that there is, by some, I would imagine few, but some on both sides wanted to rein in the executive branch on that. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think so, because right now the executive branch has a lot of power to decide on trade policy and impose tariffs. They have the USTR, the United States Trade Representative, and the Department of Commerce. If the president asks for an investigation on forced labor, excess capacity, national security, to either the USTR or the Department of Commerce, and these investigations come out to be, something that it's a concern. Then, if those investigations come to terms, then the president has the power to impose tariffs under Section 301, Section 232, like we currently have Section 232 on steel, aluminum, and Section 301 for China, and now forced labor for other countries. So yes, Congress has their hands tied for those decisions. So they're both parties are trying to figure out a way to take some of that power away from the executive, and for them to have more say so in tariffs and those trade policies.
KURV NDC conversation. Thanks to JT Jorge Torres from Interlink Trade Services, and join us for, again, a couple of days of these broadcasts from the nation's capital, talking with various industries and folks who represent our area. As far as advocacy, you taking trips to D.C. on behalf of what you're doing, trade, import, trade, colleagues, friends, other companies, and that. Tell me about some of the work that you're doing, what you're lobbying for these days.
Yes, we're part of the National Custom Broker Freight Forwarder Association of America, NCBFAA, and every year they have what we call the Government Affairs Conference, GAC. I attended last year, and I'm attending this year again, late September. So, a bunch of U.S. custom brokers and freight forwarders, we meet in D.C. We have meetings and we discuss the topics, the agenda, and then we go and meet with the congressmen, congresswomen, senators, and give them our wish list, advocating, lobbying for our interest and the importer interest. Funding for additional infrastructure, changes in the regulations to have more fair trade or custom brokerage operations. So that's what we do for a couple of days in DC.
Yeah, I've asked this of other folks in other fields in these conversations. You mentioned fair trade, fair regulations, infrastructure, and things like that. So just maybe expand on that a bit more, on what would be the wish or wishes if Washington, D.C. could grease the skids for you, make things easier, or do something, pass something to make import, export work easier, which sometimes keeps you up on the weekends and OT trying to catch up with executive orders, things like that. What would you want from D.C.? Either the executive branch or Congress, for that matter?
Yes. Well, we go to Congress directly on these visits. Besides infrastructure investments, we are advocating, especially now, for us to have a voice, for the broker and import-export community to have a voice. Because with the executive branch imposing these tariffs, these provisions, they don't listen to us. They publish an executive order based on the findings from an investigation, and let's say they publish the executive order on a Friday for the changes to be effective on Monday. So they don't give us time to review, to give our opinion, and time to digest and make the programming changes, because an executive order changing, let's say, Section 232 or imposing 301 tariffs requires programming changes for customs transactions, both on the government side, on CBP side, and on the custom broker side and the importer. So we have to, adapt to different tariff provisions, understand how the stackings and the percentages and what products and contents and all that. So we have to work on the weekend and very fast. And sometimes even customs, they don't understand what the executive order wants, less us, the trade community. So before, in other administrations, at least they will publish them in the Federal Register and give 60, 90 days for the trade community to give their comments and opinions. And then once they were ready to be implemented, they will give us 60, 90 days for implementation. So that will give us time to understand, make the programming changes, and be ready to implement. Yeah. Right now, it's done from one day to the other. So we've been fighting for that. Last year, we were asking, give us 30 days. Give us 15 days. So at least that. So, and then Congress takes that, but they go and talk to the executive, to the Secretary of Commerce.
Yeah, you guys figure it out. Yeah. The edict comes down. It's implemented on Monday. You did the best you could over the weekend to get everything in place. Either way, you muddle your way through it, hopefully not hitting any trigger points. Either way, whatever needed to be charged will be retroactive. They'll come on back because CBP has to catch up too. The agents, they need to catch up. They don't know everything.
Exactly.
30, 60 days, I'm sure they'll come back and say, oh, by the way, you owe us this much because it started on this. So that's, you kind of have to forecasting and I guess make an intelligent guesstimate on what it would be, charge it to your client. And then I guess if there's leftover, they get a reimbursement down the road.
Yes. I mean, what happens is we have to go with the flow and make changes as they come along. I mean, and then, like you said, okay, well, oops, this provision has to do this, and now you owe, or now you can get a refund and all that. But we have to learn the ropes through the day.
When you guys gather up in D.C. at the next convention, you go door knocking to all these Congress people. You tell them, okay, well, you passed a law to buy us coffee and donuts for every overnight 24-hour shifts for all the crew as well. And also pay us for the overtime, the manpower. Make sure to allocate something for the overtime that we have to pay. JT, thank you for your support. And look forward to our next conversation as we see the evolution of all this stuff up in D.C. Conversations, KURV Conversations in D.C. Thank you to Jorge Torres from Interlink Trade Services.